to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains.
Coming to you straight from San Diego, California. Let's welcome our host, April Mahoney.
Okay, countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Brains, and welcome to another broadcast. What is the podcast Potluck? This is where we serve it up to you right, okay? We are dishing out only the best. This is going to be a very unique one, okay? Because we got some poets in the house, we got neo-soul, and we got international hip-hop. And I'm a poet, of course. So this is a lot of fun. I've got some of my great friends in here. Somebody is not recording, though. Let me see. Katie, you got your recording on or your mic? There you go. There you go. I need everybody in the house. All right. So let me introduce my guest to you. Okay, this is Precious Pauling. And she is a poet extraordinaire. She has a wonderful nonprofit we're going to talk about. This is Kendrick Dials down here in the corner right here. Kendrick Dials is the lead singer for Lyrical Groove. He is a poet. He's an ex-military man and an educator. And we have Saraph Soul Man. He is an international hip-hop star. So I put all these vibes and flavors together for a specific reason, Brains, because they have a synergy, and this is going to be so much fun. We're going to listen to their music and all of that. So before we get into their music and their craft and what they're doing, I want to talk to, let's start with you, Kendrick Dials, also known as KD of Lyrical Groove. Tell my Brains a little bit about you and your band and what you're doing and how you're showing up in the world, brother.
Got you. Well, what's going on, Brains? My name is so I'm a poet that ended up started working with my own band because I love to fuse in the musical stylings of the music that I love. So it's a little bit of hip hop, little jazz, little soul, all of that just kind of fused in together. And so I'm doing that. I'm doing a little work with a little bit of theater, so I'm writing some plays and stuff as well. And I also, my professional training, I'm a social worker. So I do a lot of work in the field of like counseling, and I train social workers as well as teaching and whatnot. So I just find different ways to put all those areas together.
Well, you do a wonderful job because, I've known you for a long time. When I got here in the poetry scene, you guys had a couple different venues, but it was the poetry that really connected us. And then I saw the work that you do. I see you out in the community, sitting in the corner in the table with some youth that is struggling through something right there, and you feeding them, and you feeding them more than food. You really tapping into their soul. So I thank you, and you're an educator, and you're an ex-military man. Tell us a little bit about your military experience. Now, my Brains don't know, but I know you started writing poetry when you were in the Navy, right?
Yep. So I went to the Navy right out of high school. I was on the track in terms of computers, way for the future. So I was a radar technician for my first 6 years, and then I realized I didn't like working with machines more than I like working with people. So I was fortunate enough to switch over programs to be a substance abuse counselor while I was in the Navy. And then that allowed me an opportunity to kind of start fusing my artistry in with that work as well. And so since then, I've just been on that path of like finding ways to fuse in the art with the mental health and social justice realm of things. So
Right. And so what did you bring to the potluck?
So I've been on the move today, and I've been snacking. So I got y'all some almonds and
some almonds. Healthy choice. That's always on a healthy choice tip. Whatevs. All right. So now we want to jump over to Precious Paulings. How are you, beautiful? We connected on social media, and we've been trying to do this for a long time. You are an amazing author, and you're also a mother of 5. How do you have time to do all of that?
Well, I have time to do all that because I decided that I was going to, while I have many roles and titles that make me great, it doesn't make me an original. And what makes me original is my assignment. And so I had to learn to fall in love with myself in order to be 100% to me so that I can be amazing as a mom, a wife, a friend, and all of the above, which is why I created the movement of I Choose Me, #NoMoreExcuses, which teaches us that everything we go through is about us turning our pain into power in order to show up in purpose. And every time I show up for myself, I think I give my kids the ability to know that they can fly too, because I think they're watching us, and I can't tell them unless I can show them. And so that's what makes me strive even harder, is to be that element of myself that makes me great.
Tell us a little bit about your nonprofit as well.
Well, my nonprofit, because I have been doing the I Choose Me.
Don't choke down there now. We ain't got to you yet.
I started I Choose Me a nonprofit because I was trying to do different things in the community, because I realized it's all about the mindset, and not enough do we get the experience of being able to have the tools we need in order to understand how do we get through the things and the trials and tribulations. So I created the I Choose Me to help empower people to understand that, you know, they deserve it, they're worth it. And so our motto is, I pledge to embrace who I am today, love who I was yesterday, and inspire who I will become tomorrow. Our mantra is, the closer I get to me, the better I'm able to see who I was called to be. And the slogan is, love grows everything, so love yourself first. And so I decided to go ahead and create a place where we can come together and love each other to full, because when I celebrate me, I get to celebrate you. And so that is what the nonprofit is all about, pulling out the best in each other so that we can show up in our assignment and with our God piece.
I know, because I'm telling you, the work, it needs to be done.
Yeah.
And Sharif Sunman, what you
Yes,
doing?
yes. Hey, peace, April. Just choked on a little bit of water, but I'm here. Thank you so
That's
much
all
for
right.
having me.
That's okay, because I'm liking all this facial hair. What's the motif now with the beard? I mean, everybody got a beard. I'm trying to get Mr. Magnificent to grow one. He say, I ain't with it, baby. I ain't with it.
Uh-oh. You know, this what they say, beard gang. I mean, I used to have locks to my knees before I got in a bad accident about 10 years ago. So now, you know, this is all I can really grow. So, you know, it just so happened to come in. I'm thankful it's got a little bit of sexy swag going on with it. So
Yeah,
it's all love.
Yeah, you do. You better ask somebody. So tell my brains a little bit about who you are, Sharif Sunman.
Okay, peace. My name is Saraph Sunman. I'm from
Saraph.
South Carolina. Yes, all love, April. It's all love, babe. Saraph Sunman. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. I'm an artist and I'm a professional educator. I actually work in high schools with seniors, and I teach them government and economics. So I get to see what's going on in the streets in our communities firsthand. I get to talk to them in ways and learn from them in ways that even their own parents don't get to see. So it's a blessing. I've also been blessed in my spare time. I actually travel to Europe extensively. I go to Europe roughly about 3 times a year. I do shows in Paris and a lot of places in Switzerland. And over there, they have a real appreciation for hip hop culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here in the States, the radio has kind of a little different, especially in the South where I'm from. A lot of the music is more of the new age rap. But over there, they have a fine appreciation for the culture. I went over there about 2 years ago, and Curtis Blow, you know, he's about 60. He was over there rocking These Are the Breaks with European cats break dancing and wilding, and they was loving it. So that's what I do. I'm a hip hop artist that is blessed to be able to travel internationally, and I'm also a professional school teacher / educator.
Wow. So yes. You and Kendrick have that synergy as well. All of us are educators because we're pouring in what we know organically and trying to grow something beautiful out of that. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of hip hop today. It was really, really sad. I was just in LA the other day and rode right past the memorial for Nipsey Hussle. You know, what do we say about that? The people don't understand that we are telling a story. We are telling our story. We're not trying to be combative. Nobody got a problem when the country western folks are saying what they saying. Nobody had a problem when the blues were saying what they saying. But now we are coming a little bit more aggressive. We're coming a little bit more assertive. And so when we talk about our truths in the streets, be it with gangs, be it with trying to, you know, make that money, being a single parent, why is it that, you know, that's not resonating with people to elevate us, but it's causing more conflict? Because the word on the street is his boy did him in. And I think it was jealousy. And that ain't right. That ain't right. So what are we saying and what are we doing and how can we be better? What do you think, Kendrick?
I think we'll come to me first. I think I think there's a lot of different elements of that. I think the beauty of Nipsey was the fact that he was.
Don't worry about that. We know you at the house. Go ahead, let it rain.
He was switching the narrative from what he had grew up and experienced to more of what he desired to see. And I think that's a slow change, if you will. But I think the beautiful fact was about that he was doing it. And I think being like, I think yesterday there was a lot of the different gangs, in LA, they kind of called the truce, in honor of him. So I think just speaking to that aspect, I think, his life was an example of, we can't matter, we can do things in a different way. And he was showing that how to, empower ourselves in order to do that. But it takes a lot of work, even that's can be a slow change.
It can be a slow change, and people don't really understand that, gangs is just not out here just trying to run up on you and snatch your purse, but there is a culture there. There's a love. There's an understanding. When you are maybe, for example, a foster child and you don't have nobody to turn to, the gang gonna take you in. They're gonna feed you, they're gonna love you, but you also become a soldier. Okay, right. So it's ride or die. So all of these tattoos, they tell a story. They have been locked down. Snitches get stitches. So, it's a whole lot going on there. And when you go to jail and all of that, you're building a stronger community. So do you find that young women that you work with, Precious, do you find them caught up in this kind of struggle and this gang element, or maybe not feeling worthy in the area that you are in? Because I work with a lot of young Latino young women here, and they ride or die.
You know what? Not actually. I'm more on the other side of trying to get people to understand that we have to show up as a community, right? Like Nipsey Hussle, you have to have that type of ability to be able to pull people up. I think we do get envious so easily, and I think a lot of it is because we get to watch each other blossom and we are not blossoming, right? We get to see each other go to different levels, and it breeds jealousy instead of us finding out from each other, well, what can I do to do what you're doing? We have a hard time asking the questions in order to be better. Instead, we get these insecurities, and we allow other people's triumph to be our misfortune, or we allow it to tear away from who we are, instead of trying to use these tools that other people have and say, well, what are you doing that I can do so that I can be like you are? How do I lift myself up? I think we just don't believe that we have what other people have. And what I want people to understand is that we all have something special.
Right, absolutely.
And the reason why you get to see his special is because he clocked into himself. And when we begin to clock into ourselves, then we would stop looking at each other and stop being envious of each other, and learn that we grow together. And once we get together, we get to form a even better picture. And so I be trying, my job is to get people to understand that when I celebrate me, I get to celebrate you. And too many people are not happy with themselves, which is why we have all this dysfunction in the world. And so it's about you learning through your trials and growing through those situations so that we can show up for each other. Because when we do that, we change the world. We really do.
We do. We change the world and we influence the world. And you know what? Life is a smorgasbord. And all of us could go right now and not eat the same thing. Everything is not meant for you. But if you can pay it forward and you can craft it and you can mold it into something right, then that's exactly what we need to do. We cannot be crabs in the barrel. Okay. Keep trying to bring each other down. I believe in abundance. Okay. There's plenty for everybody. If they move their fat butts over, everybody can have a seat at the table. Ain't that right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Ain't that right? Okay. So Saraph, tell us what's going on with you and your music, and what are you seeing, and what is the conversation with the millennials that you're educating in your school?
Oh, wow. With me, I'm just trying to stay more or less independent with my music. When I was younger, it was all about meeting somebody major and getting put on into the game. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that, being signed with a major label, although it's desirable by a lot of artists, where I'm at in my life and what I want to do with my artistry, that's not really what I want to do at this point. But to answer your question, I'm just trying to continue to further my brand. I'm out here in the schools with these kids. And what's interesting is living in the southeastern part of the United States, just get kind of back on the gang situation with Nipsey. We have a lot of gangs here, but gangs are pretty recently new here in South Carolina per se. They only came out about maybe 18 years ago, and they were real minor. Whereas in California, Detroit, Chicago, they've been basic factions in the community since the 60s. So it's interesting now because a lot of the kids who are from the streets, they're like gang affiliated. Now they might not be killing as much, even though we're seeing an uptake in that, but I'm starting to see a lot more of that happen, unfortunately. And I just try to let them know, I love them for who they are. I don't judge the children by what they're affiliated with, because ultimately, as you said, it's a sense of wanting and belongingness. When I was their age, we didn't have gangs we were affiliated with, but we still, we had our neighborhoods. But what happened is the neighborhoods now are affiliated with gangs, which is unfortunately now made them scrutinized by law enforcement, because I'm pretty sure you know this. If you're affiliated with a major gang now, then where I'm at, you can get put into a gang database called VTAR, which calls you basically a domestic terrorist. And we don't know how that information is going to be used in the future for our children. So I just make sure I let them know how much I can. I love them. And I tell them I have no problem or issue with you being affiliated with whatever you are. Just make sure you're showing love to one another and not gang banging and killing each other. Because ultimately you can be with what you want to be. We had hippies back in the day, and we had hipsters and all kinds of things. They had their own, their own type of vibration or feel. But my thing is just don't kill each other. You made an interesting point. You said, like, with hip hop, oftentimes the beef and the violence is promoted to sell records. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't see this happening with country music. We don't see this happening with rock music. I have friends who play for professional musicians who tell me about problems that they might have with other groups, but they never bring it to the forefront. And unfortunately, with hip hop, beef and violence is a way to sell records. And I think it's something culturally that's really, I don't want to say bigger than us, but I think what we have to do, as the good Sister Precious said, is we have to play our part in our communities. So eventually it all connects dot, and then we can see what happens from there.
Well, we're going to have to do something, because, that all this killing and all of this is just a part of the distraction. People get caught up in this political pundit and all that, but that's to keep us off guard. That's to keep us off balance. And that's not what we're doing here. We can't do that. So Kendrick, I want to feature one of your tracks. Tell us a little bit about Lyrical Groove and introduce the track that that we're going to be playing, because I want people to hear your music. I love it. I'm a big fan.
So now it's kind of morphed. I started off with a good buddy of mine, my man GK on drums, and then we just kind of built like some other musicians, and then I added my vocalist Brisa. But now just kind of Brisa's still with me, and then we have a few other San Diego musicians, so it's more of a collective nowadays. But I think the track I sent you was Strong Woman. I wrote that for my daughter, just a little something that we're talking about, these images and the message that we receive in the music and everything. Mm-hmm. So I wrote it in particular to have her provide a sense of self and understanding of who she is and the power that she has already within her, as it's kind of from her lineage, if you will. So it's just something that she could kind of sing to herself, and just, it speaks to who she can be and who she already is.
Well, it's definitely a tribute to you as a father, because I know that you are a great dad. You are always with her. She makes you smile. She's your inspiration. So Brains, we are going to listen to a track from Kendrick Dials and Lyrical Groove. It's called Strong Woman. Here we go.
Mama entered the world, started as a girl, looked up towards the moon and saw ocean. Said, what I gotta do to be like you? Said, baby, you a woman, it'll come to you soon. Know that you are love, you embody what it means. You heal with your heart, one day you'll be a queen. Just like your mama, and your mama is I. Then listen to your mama, don't tell no lies. Mama's got strength, mama's got pride, mama's got a gun to shoot down they lies. Mama is a woman that knows she can. Mama don't need validation from a man. Skin like pudding, sweet like cake. Mama live a life motivated by faith. Mother of earth, goddess of love. I hate to be a man in the world without her. Woman. was looking to the sky, and then I saw a bird carrying the baby, and then it said these words. I heard she came from Venus, mind of a genius, destined for greatness, a beautiful little girl. And my duty is to nurture her like a flower until her dreams unfurl. My daughter will have the bloodline of my wife, my mother, and my mother's mother, which means she'll have the ability to build you up, cut you down, tell you to kiss her ass, Bible in hand, with a face so innocent you won't realize what happened until it's too late to do anything about it. I want her to be a SBW, one of those strong black women you read about in historical tall tales, one of those gunslinging, railroad conducting, not too quick to judgment, freedom fighting, poem writing lovers of life. I want her to know that she is beauty beyond words, and she'll understand this by the things I do and don't do, like how I treat her mother, how I show her that I love her through the simple things, like the tone in my voice, my word choice. I must nurture her, show her how to be loved. So when I get home from a long day of work, school, and dealing with the world, and she asks me to dance, when she asks me to dance, I politely bow, smile, and then extend my hand. Politely bow, smile, and then extend my hand. Mama entered the world, started as a girl, looked up towards the moon and saw ocean. Said what I gotta do to be like you. Said baby you a woman and I come to you soon. Know that you will love, you embody what it means. You heal with your heart, one day you'll be a queen. Just like your mama and your mama is I. Then listen to your mama, oh hell no lies. Mama's got strength, mama's got pride, mama's got a gun to shoot down they lies. Mama is a woman that knows she can. Mama don't need validation from a man. Skin like pudding, sweet like cake. Mama live a life motivated by faith. Mother of earth, goddess of love. I hate to be a man in the world without her. Mama entered the world, started as a girl, looked up towards the moon and saw ocean. Said what I gotta do to be like you. Said baby you a woman, it'll come to you soon.
That my Lord will rescue me, cast out all these spirits, and set my body free. I long for a peace that I once knew, long to let go of the path that I can't go back to. Find hard to accept the letdowns to myself and embrace who I am, to let go of my pride and grasp my fellow loved one's hand. But they are reaching out for me, but I must convince them I got it together, knowing that I'm getting cold in this stormy weather. And so I'm asking God, why do you have the rain fall on me the way you do? And he simply answers, that's not the rain, but that's my tears anointing you. So I know what I placed in you to be. I'm just putting you in storm so that you can see. Look at who you are and search for my divinity in thee, and know that this place in your life is where I needed you to be. For I needed you to experience some hurts and letdowns so you could connect yourself to me and embrace the life I gave you and be the best that you can be. I love you, my child, and I'm watching from up above. So I ask that you stop searching, for I am, and there is no greater love. And so that is the whole mission of the movement, is to teach you that the greatest love is inside of you. And when you find a way to search deep, to become your very own best friend, when you love yourself through all of that, then you get to recognize that what you've been through, you can come through. It's not what you go through, It's what you grow through that makes you so amazing. And so I want you to pick up those stories, remove the shame, and get in your lane so that you could show up with that light on, because that's how you impact the world. Your stories impact the world because God sent you that way because he needed you to find somebody. And when you go through things and you get to tell the people what you've been through and they get to see you shine through that pain, then you begin to walk on water. And I think that we all have the ability to walk on water when we turn our pains into power. And that's all it's all about, is loving ourselves enough to see that we have what it takes to be greatness, that greatness is in every last one of us. And the only way we get to see that is when we show up. And so they always say that God says, few are called, but many are chosen. I think you become chosen when you choose yourself, because he has no respect of persons. And so the work you do on you is how you show up in this world, and why Nipsey is who he was, because it was the work he did, regardless of what people saw, regardless of how people agreed at the time. He showed up in his element and he impacted. And that is your job. Your assignment is to impact in a way that makes somebody see themselves, show up, and love themselves, because they recognize that they deserve it.
They do deserve it. And you know what? Girl, you don't need to be a poet. You need to have a pulpit. Hallelujah, because I got goose pimples thinking about that. I was trying to figure out how to step up my game, you know. I thought I was at the 12th floor. Shoot, I got some climbing to go. I got some inspiration, so thank you, and I honor you for that. I want to ask the two poets. I'm a poet as well. But what process do you go through for memorizing your poetry? So many people say, you know, when you step there, and they fail to realize, I tell them all the time, people don't know what you're going to say until you say it. So you go out there and you standing there at the mic and you say, oh, I forgot this. Don't nobody know you forgot it. Okay. Then you just, you know, you just be vibing with it. You just flow something else in there and they be like, wow, that's really good. How do you guys practice, Kendrick and Precious, remembering your poetry when you go out and you do it in front of public audiences?
Go ahead, Preacher Precious.
I know, Preacher Precious. Hallelujah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I was gonna say, the way I have millions of poems and I don't memorize a lot of them, but I do memorize. There are key ones that are just so universal that I've taken the time to memorize. And how I do it is I incorporate my talking with a lot of them. So I have some major ones like God's Removal. We all go through things where people hurt us and let us down. Lost in the Time. We all get in that moment when we got to find ourselves. Tears are answers. We all got to learn to love ourselves. So I've taken the major poems, like all of them are major to me, but even in my writing my poems, I just say, as God whispers, I'll write them down. No poem has never taken me more than 15 minutes to write. That's why I say this. And even in the writing, 90% of the poetry I've written, I have not experienced. It has been me around somebody, their stuff falls on me, and I can't get it out of my head. So I write it down, and then I share it. And when I share it, it has become this whole big thing where it's reaching so many more people. But it was just because God put me in contact with one person. That's how I know when you touch one, you can touch the masses. If I touch one and they touch somebody else and so on and so forth, then you have touched the masses by one touch. So it doesn't matter how small the room is or how big the room is. If you show up with that, it's enough to light up the world.
That's right. And we touching about 34,000 all over the world. Sweden, South Dakota, Canada, India, all of that. So we got to give it some hand claps and finger snaps. Come on, snap them fingers. Y'all know what's happening. Kendrick, how do you work your magic? You know, and I love the way people have a cadence. I haven't really developed a cadence, so we're going to have to get together and work on that. But it's a timing, it's a beat. And I remember back, you know, I'm not going to date myself, but the last poem, they were the first ones to put it down rhythmically. And you do The Revolution is, what is it? The Revolution is not going to be recorded. It's
televised.
Yes. Okay. And it was all and you do it with what, 3 or 4 other people? Your timing is perfect. How do you do that? How do you practice that?
With us, because I was kind of groomed in the slam poetry styling. And a good part of it is the repetition. As, you know, using certain elements of, you know, writing. So the alliteration or the assonance or, you know, recognizing the flow of telling a story or whatnot. So those different elements also help, but the biggest part is just kind of repetition. And for me, it often takes like doing it in front of some little audience. So it's like a good 3, 4, 5 people just to kind of burning through my head of like, going through my mistakes or whatnot like that. It actually kind of helps, ingrain it a little bit more in depthly. So.
And you have to take on that character. Speaking of characters, you were in a play not too long ago, a play at a theater that my daughter is now doing some costuming for. So tell us about your acting debut at the Signet Theater.
So actually, Signet. So it's actually
was it at Signet?
No, it wasn't a Signet. So actually, what happened was I got asked to be a part of a tour with the La Jolla Playhouse.
Oh, okay. That's even better.
Yeah, it was Home of the Brave, and that was a play geared towards children in the military. So we went around to different schools for about 2 months, and that was crazy. Going in to do this play to help students understand the experience of military families. So that piece kind of, opened up. And then I got asked to do another play called Blacktop Sky with the Ira Aldrich play theater. And that was about homelessness and whatnot. So, but I think the thing that actually tipped it off was my good friend Gil Sotu. He wrote a spoken word opera. And actually asked me to kind of come in and play myself because I do hosting and whatnot. And he was going to play that role, but then he ended up, it was just too much because he wrote it, produced it, directed it, all that good stuff.
Wow.
He asked me to come play the role of like the MC, one of the, supporting characters. And then it just kind of all came together.
I know. So I see some champagne back there in the back. Why y'all popping bottles? Who's happening? You didn't bring the champagne. You brought us some almonds. How you showing up, really?
Our parents' place function, so.
Okay, well, tell them, hey, we at the function too now. They're at the podcast potluck. Who's that in the back? Walking there. Who that? I don't see. Who's that? Your family member back there? Tell her, hey. Hi, everybody's coming in. That's wonderful. James, I like James. That's a very regal name. I slipped out of your thing. So tell us about, now you are an international hip hop star. I've been to Japan, Jamaica. I've been around the world, but they love us overseas. They have a strong following in Sweden. I didn't think they was gonna really dig on a sister with an afro. Not that they didn't like me, but they don't speak, English. They speak Swedish, but they are loving me. That is like 7% of my audience.
Right.
And Canada and London and all. My brother's in the music industry, and I just getting his royalty checks. He's killing it over there more so than here in the United States. What does that look like, and how do you break into that market?
Wow. As you said, Europe is an interesting place. I think a lot of Europeans in general just have a real loving, humble respect for African-American artists. I mean, it goes back to the 20s and 30s when the artists were going over during the jazz era and ages. They look at the shadow slavery that we went through in America and all the way up to Barack Obama and seeing the changes we went through and just really admire what we've done. But I happened to get over there. I had a friend of mine named Wendell Colbreth, named the W. He's a guitar player, and he was traveling to London and France. And he said, Saraph, you from the South, man, but you really got like this cosmopolitan hip hop type vibe going on. Right. So I was like, word. So he was like, yeah. He said, man, they love you over there. So I went over there and I was privileged to rock with this band called Urban Groove Unit. They're rated like the #1 band in France on Reverb Nation. So I did 2 shows with them and it went really, really, really well. And from there, it was just a matter of grassroots network. And I bumped into this person to that person and recorded with this person, that person. And before I knew it, I had like a slew of people I was working with over there. And it's really dope because here, I'm just a school teacher. I'm James. You know what I mean? James McLaughlin.
I like James.
What's up, Brains? James, that's old school James, right? So I'm, over here, I'm Mr. McLaughlin or James, but over there, I get real big, genuine love, even though, I'm not on that level yet here. But over there, they give me the same love and respect as somebody that's actually a major artist. And that's what I appreciate about the Europeans. They really look at the art form of hip hop as an actual art. They don't view it as just like some boopity bap, whatever, especially when you're doing hip hop. The rap is a little different now, but when you're dealing with the 5 elements, the break it, the graph, the b-boying, the MCing, it's really viewed as an actual culture, and especially the DJing, and they really are holding on to it. In my humble opinion, I feel like the Europeans and those in Southeast Asia and Asia are the ones who are really keeping the whole hip hop culture from what it was in its purest form.
Right, and they are playing our music. emulating it, and they sing it in English better than we do. They really have a true found appreciation for. I know when I was in China, a friend of mine's mother said, "Are you going to go over there and are you going to wear your hair like that? Because you know I rock a big afro." And I was like, "Absolutely." When I got off the plane, I had my afro and my Tupac shirt on, and the first thing the Chinese brother said to me, "What's going on, sister? You down with the dirty life?" I was like, oh yeah, this is good. So people be talking that old stupid stuff, and that ain't really what's happening. So I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about the track that you sent, and we want to listen to a little bit of your music.
Okay.
So we can get it in for sure.
Awesome. This track is called I Love You. It was produced by a good friend of mine. He's a DJ as well, named DJ Kingpin. He's also a school teacher, teaches biology, but on the hook, I have my good friend who's been on the show with the brains and you earlier named Promise Yuji. It's called I Love You. It's got an old school type vibe, but it's still, up to date. So hope y'all enjoy it.
We are going to enjoy it. We about to get it in.
All right.
TikTok and you don't quit until the TikTok and you don't stop until the TikTok and you don't quit. Come on. This for that special someone, you know what I mean? Well, alright, well, okay. Come on. Something about you, lady, got me feeling all crazy. Kinda like in the 80s when I was a jit. Got my palms all sweaty. Hopefully you're ready. Your aura's like Sister Betty. Can we talk a bit? Loving your whole persona, can tell you had a father who made sure you strive harder, cause his love was rich. Plus can't forget your mama, she taught you about karma, and the reason why respect is the ultimate. I must admit, approaching you was kinda daunting. With your natural hair, can I make an assumption? You look like the type that care about something, the type that baby cinnamon soap with minty pumpkin. Shade buttered up, black girl magic flaunting. Was told by your folks to get up, get out, get something. So I'ma take it slow, there's no need for rushing. Let's make a masterpiece like Alexander Pushkin. The envelope, let's push it. Plush pillow palace, you're my cushion. Like salt and pepper, 87, push it. To no limits to the beginning of the end times. They're looking from the outside, trying to compromise. What we got, they can't stop, because we realize that what we got is special like grandma's potato pies. Maya Angelou, that real love, so we rise. Life ain't no crystal stair, let's let this love fly.
Like a lily in the valley, strong like the bush of strife, freely handed. No one can replace you, you're all that really matters. Life sings the praise for the rest of your days. From January to December, no one can break your stride. In my heart you reside, that's why I love you. That's why I love you.
Yo, my homies think that I'm crazy. You got me so sedated. Your love is so amazing, like liquor intoxication for you. I strive daily to thrive until we make it to that mansion up in the hills. Have I told you I love you like Anita back in the 80s? You got me feeling like Casey JoJo, Devonta Swing. Make a dish and you leave me swinging. Baby, will you be mine? See, I'm feeling like young MJ for you. I give my all like young Tony before the payday, like Jordan before the Bumpers, like Lauren before the Grammys, like Tyson before D'Amato when Brooklyn's striving to make it. True love is hard to find, so for granted I won't take it. Working a 9 to 5 to provide for undertakers with a time to be alive, but what's time when that's remaining? Merely a distant thought when broke hearts become blameless. No need to fight the feeling, no need for explanation. Deliver us from temptation. I pray that we gon' make it forever.
Like a lily in the valley, strong like the bush of strife, freely handed. No one can replace you, you're all that really matters. Life sings the praise for the rest of your days. From January to December, no one can break your stride. In my heart you reside, that's why I love you. That's why I love you. Hey, I'm gonna give it to you, give it to you, give it to you, baby. Nobody can break your stride. That's why I love you. That's why I love you. That's why I love you, girl.
Give yourself to someone else unselfishly is truly, truly a gift. Truly a gift. And we recognize that. Okay, we're not just trying to do this for selfish reasons or make money or pontificate and posture. We're really trying to make a difference. That's why we're influencers and game changers here on The Edge. Thank you so much, you guys. Brains, go back. rewind this and go back to Blog Talk Radio and listen to other edgy conversations. I got everything for you. Art, entertainment, music, science, Bitcoin. I even got a hot show coming up. We bringing sexy back, and you better watch out, okay? Because we doing it raw. You ain't gonna know what hit you, all right? So again, tune in anytime. Again, thank you guys so much. KD, you go get you some rest. Saraph, I need you to go in there and cook you something besides some peanuts. And Precious, you just got to cover it all together. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Mwah. Talk to you soon.